It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. I want to do a shout out to our friends over at Actionable Intelligence. On their blog, they published an article regarding a Ninestar story. You know, Actionable Intelligence, they're actually doing work of an analytical firm. Their analysts are out there digging into this. Their journalists are out there digging into this. They found some products that hit some ports. And those products, well, they're tied to the Ninestar ban. And they're asking some questions around the co-signees of these products. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to be honest with you. I think the most disturbing thing about this entire Ninestar story is the fact that our industry has nowhere to actually read about it, to get any information about it. They've got Jimmy at the Toner News, and a lot of people think Jimmy's too bombastic, so, they're not going to pay attention to him. You got the end of the day with Ray, and folks, I've been all over this from day one. But a lot of folks think I make people cry, so they don't want to watch me. And then you got our friends over here at Actionable Intelligence. But if you're waiting for Frank Canada and the Canada Report to write something, it ain't going to happen. They would have already done it. I mean, there's been like 4 Fridays past. He could have had a Fridays with Frank episode on this story. Nothing. If you're waiting for the Imaging Channel magazine to write something, they're not going to write anything. We saw what they wrote last Friday. They were talking about the big party down in Lexington. If you think the industry analyst is going to write something about this, it ain't going to happen. They would have already done it. ENX magazine, they would have already done it. But here's the one that really gets me, and it makes me mad. It's Keypoint Intelligence. Anthony Ski, your leading Keypoint Intelligence, and I just want to say something to you. You could have done everything that Actionable Intelligence did. You got the team to do it. You got analysts all over the world, even in Asia. You brag about being the biggest analytical firm in our industry. But you've done nothing. Where is the Keypoint Intelligence story on Ninestar? You could have done everything that Actionable Intelligence did, and you didn't do it. Maybe if Keypoint Intelligence wasn't so concerned about how they're going to sell maybe seat-based billing through AI, and they actually train their journalists on journalism, and they train their analysts on how to go out and do some analytical work, the industry could get some information around the most important story in its history. Shame on you. Let me read some of this article. I'm going to share my thoughts. Well, certain Ninestar subsidiaries indicate that they have stopped sourcing products from the banned companies. They appeared as co-signees for shipments arriving in June. According to the records we reviewed, 10 shipments of printers, parts, and toner cartridges arrived at various U.S. ports for Lexmark from Hong Kong-based Ninestar Electronic Company. Static Control Components received 3 post-embargo shipments from Ninestar Imaging Technology, which is also based in Hong Kong. After the embargo, we also saw shipments bound for other Ninestar U.S. subsidiaries, including Green Project. So we got stuff coming in. We got co-signees. What's going on with all these products? Let me read a little bit more. Ninestar Technology Company, a subsidiary incorporated in New Jersey in 2001, was the destination for about half of the Ninestar product bound for U.S. ports in June. Now operating out of Chino, California, we believe Ninestar Technology Company manages most of Ninestar Corporation's e-commerce in the United States, including its enormous Amazon business. After learning of the embargo, we began monitoring large sites like Amazon.com and Walmart.com to determine if Ninestar's e-commerce business in the United States had been curtailed. As far as we can determine, Ninestar's most popular online brands, including Limo, MyCartridge, and Zprint, remain readily available. So here we go. Actionable Intelligence and their team of analysts doing their job. Their journalists doing their job. They're monitoring Walmart.com. They're monitoring Amazon.com. They're asking questions of Amazon. I got to ask Amazon a question too. Are you kidding me? Amazon, surely you're not having products on your website that you're selling that are tainted with the sweat of labor, of slave labor. Seriously. And I'm sure that Amazon's all over this. What a great story Amazon is. A great American success story. Jeff Bezos starts an e-commerce site selling books out of his parents' garage. Becomes one of the richest men in the world. Surely Amazon.com is not going to have products on their website that are tainted from the sweat of slave labor. In addition to shipments to various Ninestar subsidiaries, we also saw that containers for various customers arrived in the United States after the embargo was imposed last month. Shipments of toner cartridges for CWG International, LD Products, Caton Corporation, Sharp Electronics, and Tech Data all arrived in the United States after the Ninestar firms appeared on the UFLPA entity list. As did a shipment of laser printers from Sharp Electronics from Zhuhao Pantom Electronics. A shipment of printer parts for Clover Imaging Group also arrived at the port of Long Beach, California in late June. Folks, we're hearing some names on here, and these are not Ninestar names that we recognize. Caton, Clover Imaging Group, Sharp Electronics. The tentacles of Ninestar they're long. They're all through our industry. And ladies and gentlemen, Clover Imaging actually had something attached to this article, and here, let me just read what Clover says about this. Clover wishes to clarify that this single pallet shipment was already on the water when the Ninestar ban took effect, and Clover was surprised when U.S. Customs cleared the shipment. Although Customs would have allowed Clover to accept the shipment, Clover has rejected it and is paying the fees incurred to return freight. Before the Ninestar embargo was announced, Clover worked hard to build a redundant supply chain with many suppliers. For any Clover SKUs that might have used a component from a Ninestar affiliated entity, Clover immediately canceled and blocked all purchases and adjusted bills of materials accordingly. They responded, "We're not taking it. Send it back." I also want to make everybody aware that I talked to some Sharp executives this morning, and they did the same thing. "We're not receiving it. Send it back." Ladies and gentlemen, the tentacles of Ninestar are really deep in our industry. This is why we got to be addressing this. This is why we need Key Point Intelligence with their massive army of analysts to actually do their damn job and start analyzing this story. This is why we need the other publications in our industry to actually investigate and dig a little bit deeper and ask some tougher questions so the industry can prepare for what's coming, because what's going to come out of this is not going to be pretty for anybody. And quite honestly, we're all just postponing the inevitable. The Ninestar ban doesn't only place third-party suppliers, vendors at risk. Ninestar has done a great job of growing its OEM business, and Ninestar subsidiaries currently providing a number of companies with print engines, including Ricoh, Sharp, Toshiba, Xerox, and perhaps others. Ninestar's Lexmark International subsidiary does the bulk of this OEM business, and Sharp recently tapped the firm to supply it with color laser engines. Sharp launches A4 color laser based on Lexmark engines. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the reality, and I actually said this to Sharp, and I'm going to say it to all my friends. Ricoh, Toshiba, Xerox, and anybody else is doing anything with Ninestar, stop advertising these products immediately. Stop it. Pull it off your websites. Stop marketing any of this stuff. And quite honestly, you need to sever your relationships with Ninestar, in my opinion. I realize this is complicated. I realize a lot of you are probably really deep into doing that. And things don't just happen overnight. But I will tell you this. Bold leaders can make a decision in a second, and bold leaders can stand up and say no to this nonsense. And I'm hoping all of you really will stand up and start calling this out. We've got to really do this on our own industry. A lot of my friends in this industry, a lot of my friends in the world, don't like to think about government overreach or big government. This is the time that we have an opportunity to work with our government and police ourselves. Our government came up with the ban. We need to help police that ban ourselves. Why can't we do that as an industry? For those who may feel that the U.S. ban on products from Ninestar and its 8 subsidiaries may be short-lived and cause only minor supply chain hiccup, we respectfully disagree, and I agree with Actual Intelligence on that. This ain't going away anytime soon. As noted, being removed from the UFLPA entity list is no mean feat, and support for the UFLPA enforcement from the U.S. government is strong and growing. Although U.S. politicians are divided on most major issues, there seems to be a bipartisan support for this statute. And folks, I'm telling you right now, the folks that I'm talking to from both sides of the aisle, there is real bipartisanship support on this. And it's going to get a little bit more loud in the marketplace. I think you all better get ready for that. We have seen many reports and publications like the Wall Street Journal indicating that the UFLPA enforcement is now a top priority for the DHS. Moreover, a recent report released by the Center for Strategic and International Studies indicates that efforts are underway in the U.S. Congress to expand the UFLPA enforcement. It's only going to expand. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I want to do with y'all. I need you to help me. I need you to tell me if you agree with what I'm going to say here. And before I get started on my list, and the title of this, is it time for the action of no? I want to talk to some of my old man friends again. Over the weekend, I saw some posts out there about a movie you all went and saw around slavery. Some of the comments were, oh, what a fantastic movie. It really brought an awareness. Boy, I really need to pay it. This is unbelievable. It's changed my life. I got to tell you something, moviegoers. There's a real-life drama unfolding right in front of your very eyes in your own industry. Why don't you talk about that? I get it. We like the Hollywood movie every once in a while, but there's a real-life drama unfolding right in front of your face. Let's talk about that. Let's be committal to this, one way or the other. Because it's going to take industry's leaders, these veteran leaders that we have in our industry, stand up and talk about this. Because if more people talked about it, we'd start getting more resolution to the problem. Pretending it's not happening or trying to gaslight the issue, at the same time tell everybody that you're against slave labor because you watched a movie. Why don't you put some real effort into it and talk about the drama unfolding right in front of your eyes? Just my advice. Is it now time for the entire industry to say no to all Ninestar? I agree it is, ladies and gentlemen. We need to say no to all Ninestar. I don't care about what subsidiaries. They got 32 subsidiaries. Tomorrow they'll probably have 8 more. We need to say no to all of them. Is it time for all those using any components from any Ninestar subsidiaries to terminate all contractual relationships? Our OEM friends did not get in a relationship with another OEM to build their equipment based on that OEM using slave labor. None of that ever was in the contract, I assure you. So we need to reevaluate our thinking there. Here's one for my leasing company friends. I suggest you stop funding all leases which are funding hardware or any software from any Ninestar subsidiary. Hardware subsidiaries are Lexmark, Phantom, and G&G, in case you forgot. Maybe the leasing companies could just say you can't lease it through our leasing company. The Department of Homeland Security banned Ninestar along with 8 of its subsidiaries, and we're not going to try to guess which subsidiaries not using slave labor, so we're not going to finance any of it. Can you do it? I'm just asking the question. Say no to their advertising money and stop all advertising of their products. Please, OEMs, take this crap off your website. If you got products that are being manufactured through Lexmark, through Phantom, through G&G, through any Ninestar subsidiary, take it off your website and stop advertising it. I'm still seeing advertisements all through Twitter for Phantom. Phantom's banned from bringing products to the United States supply chain. They're out there on Twitter advertising all this stuff. It's just absurd, ladies and gentlemen. Say no to their memberships in our industry's organizations. Why in the world is Ninestar's logo still on the BTA website? Look, I get it. You know, me and the BTA are kind of frenemies. But at the end of the day, BTA, what in the hell are you doing? It can't be about the money. Go to all your members and say, we're going to raise your dues by $5 because we got to get the money that we're going to lose when we take Ninestar off our website. Why can't you do that as an industry? Why can't you do that as the BTA board? I mean, my gosh, remember when you wouldn't want any part of my logo anywhere near you? I did an episode on that. It still disturbs me that the Ninestar logo is still on your website. Say no to and cancel all their government contracts. Dealers, you can't go out and talk to government agencies and try to present Lexmark equipment, Phantom equipment, Ninestar, whatever equipment it is. Unless, of course, you want to share with those customers exactly what's going on with the Department of Homeland Security. And I believe that's what we need to do. I believe that we need to go out and educate the marketplace. And we need to get out in front of this story. Our industry's made a big mistake over its history. And the mistake that it makes continuously is it believes that it controls the narrative of the customer. And it doesn't. It believed that They controlled the narrative around how the whole world would move to A4, and they kept saying all the reasons why they couldn't sell A4, and all those reasons had to do with what? The industry. Talked about that for a long time. But then what happened? The customers got their own awareness and said, we don't need to buy these big machines. Unfortunately, a lot of the OEMs went to Lexmark to manufacture these machines. Some of those relationships were formed a long time ago. It takes a long time to ramp up those types of relationships. It's a big-ass problem, there's no doubt about it, but there's OEMs out there that have nothing to do with Ninestar, and I strongly suggest that those OEMs that have nothing to do with Ninestar start talking to these other OEMs and figure this shit out quick. And how are we going to come together as an industry to say no to Ninestar? We need to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I get it, it's tough. But I don't want to hear dealers complaining when the OEMs finally stand up and say no to Ninestar and complaining that you can't get your machine. We need to figure out how to deal with this like intelligent people. And we need to start asking our senior leaders more questions, and we need to get them out in front of this. Because I don't want to see anybody quoting a movie about slavery and again when we got a live drama unfold right in front of our eyes. Let's talk about that. Because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.